We're grinding the nutmeg. We're grinding the nutmeg. There we go. That's looking really good. We're live in the Nutmeg Tavern. It's Friday. It's 4 o'clock. We always do this sort of thing on Friday, at least when it's possible. So welcome. Come on into the Nutmeg Tavern. The doors are open, and there's plenty of seats. I am your host, John Townsend, and we're going to be talking fun 18th century stuff like we do whenever possible, unless we're talking about something weird like zombies or something like that. But usually we're talking about 18th century stuff, and that's what we're going to be doing today. I am generally seconded behind the bar by our barman, Ryan, but he is not there. You can see the bar is closed. Well, there's a little guy back there who's taking his place instead of a pineapple. But Ryan is here. He is on the other side of the time vortex.
Hello, everyone. It's really good to be here today. Thank you for having me, John.
Thank you for doing that hard work back there. So usually way on the other side of the time vortex is Aaron. He is away from his post today. You know, he works hard, and so occasionally we let him out to have a vacation, and he's doing that. So we'll see you soon, Aaron.
I really miss Aaron.
I know.
I wish he was here today.
I do too.
His presence is... He really brings something positive to the table, I'd say. I miss him.
Anyway, here we go. Like, what was the video that was just up? It was Joe Pera reading and reading out of the bark-covered house, that wonderful chapter where the mishap in the river and the people having to swim for it and hummocks and all that kind of good stuff. I still don't know why. It's like some people are like giving me trouble over this idea of not knowing what a hummock is and that it's normal conversation. I mean, I use hummocks like pretty much every day.
I can't remember a day, and since I've known you, that you haven't used the word.
So anyway, great having Joe in, and it was a blast having Joe in to do a couple of videos, and just a wonderful character, and really enjoyed interacting with Joe. So he's welcome back anytime.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he's a really fun guy.
Yep. And I hope you guys are enjoying Joe. I mean, obviously he's not like going to be a regular, person here on Townsends, but we got to see him a couple of times, so that's fun.
So somebody out there is asking about calendars for next year, which is crazy, next year already.
Yeah.
We're working on it. We're working on it right now. That is happening.
Yeah. So have we decided how those are going to work? Are they just going to be a thing that you have to order from the website? Is that what the deal is?
I think so. But we haven't had the final talk. So you guys are kind of jumping the gun on us.
Right. And here's the problem. They would already be way into the works, except there's a paper shortage. And so weird things are happening with print items, and so the calendars have kind of have been are a little bit of a problem. Their calendars are going to happen, but we're not sure exactly how they're going to happen in the same way as normal. So there you go. Oh, and the same thing with, usually we send out a flyer holiday season, and it couldn't happen. So people, if you need a reminder to order from our website, this is your reminder, because you're not going to get one in the mail, because paper. Don't ask me, right?
So as far as the normal catalog that comes out in the spring, so far that shouldn't be affected. You never know how these things are going to go, but we have been talking to the printers and all that, so we're on top of it.
Yeah, it's a weird world out there right now when it comes to supply of certain things, and it's so true. If you're interested in getting something for Christmas from our website, now is the time to order it, because shipping, things getting supplied to us, getting things out to people, it's just all over. We were going to have a special set of mugs. Nutmeg Tavern mugs for Christmas with the Christmas logo, but those supplies are all backed up. We do have Nutmeg Tavern mugs available, on our website. If you want to get one for somebody for Christmas, then you can order them. It's just not the Christmas ones that we were hoping to get. We'll, of course, get those in January.
So real quick, before we get too far into this, there are a couple early super chats that I want to talk about. Practical Nonsense Productions. I wondered if you'd heard of a book called The First Dictionary of Slang, published sometime around 1698 or 1699. It's certainly an interesting read.
Yeah, there are some books like that, the Dictionary of the Vulgar Tongue and some other sort of slang dictionaries. Very, very interesting to see what, the kind of fun, language. There's certainly a lot of that cant language in the time period, little phrases that meant certain things that if you didn't know what it meant, you're, what?
Yeah. I was working through one of those, trying to come up with a good video a long time ago, but it just never worked out. Yeah. Heather is in, and she says, a mug for the backup barkeep.
There you go.
Yeah.
That guy back there?
Yeah.
The little guy? He's got a pipe.
Yeah, he's got a pipe, and we're not, well, never mind. Sue O'Connor is in Super Chat. How did people decorate before the Christmas tree?
How do people decorate before the Christmas tree? Well, it depends on where you're at. There's these, very, very diverse, people groups, what's the word I want to use? Cultures in North America in the 18th century context. So, there's New Englanders, there's the Middle Colony folks, there's Virginia folks, there's the Scots-Irish folks that are sort of, filling in the back country, and they all have very different Christmas traditions. And some of them do not decorate. They do not think Christmas is something that is, sort of something to celebrate in the same way as other folks do. So, people down in Virginia, much more likely to have Christmas decorations. And I'm not sure, I don't have a great answer for you on what those decorations would be like, but if you're in, Quaker country, nope, no Christmas decorations. If you're in New England, nope, no Christmas decorations. Scots-Irish, maybe some more. Definitely in German areas or Dutch influence areas, oh yeah, you're gonna have Christmas kind of decorations. And hey, that's part of what we're talking about today.
So a lot of people are asking about the little guys with the pipes, but real quick, what are you drinking?
I am just drinking a wonderful oolong tea here. I know Josh would call it oolong, but just oolong tea. Since no one's behind the bar, I didn't have anybody to serve me anything good.
Nope. Okay, Enzo Vinci has just popped up in Super Chat. Hey guys, great to be back. Just went on a 3.5-month trek unplugged in my 18th century gear.
Whoa.
Wow. There are a lot of videos to catch up on.
Sounds like you should be doing some videos. Sounds like a great trip. I'd love to hear about it. Where are we at? Are we ready? Are we ready to jump in on this guy?
Mysterious piped gentleman.
Right. So today's episode is kind of on holiday pastries in general. What's going on? And the reason why this whole thing was driven was having to do with this little guy. So our pipe supplier, one of the items that was available was this little tiny pipe. And some people might question, like, whoa, what would you need a pipe that small for, John? Well, these were made specifically for little Weckman cookies, right? So like these little cookies that have a pipe that is baked right into them. And these little guys were popular, especially in Europe, let's say Dutch, and all over that sort of northern European area, German provinces, Switzerland, France, maybe in different areas, all over there. These were, there's like 1 million words for them because each sort of region would have different ones, and they would have different names for them, which is just hilarious to see the interpretation of the names. And these particular ones were specially made for St. Martin's Day, which is yesterday, November 11th, and all the way up to St. Nicholas Day, which is, I think, December 6th, something like that. So they're holiday little cookies. They're not gingerbread men. These guys are made with a yeast dough. They're just sort of like bread man. And the names for all these are very, very... I mean, if we had the interpretations of all these names, they have all these great names like, bread man with spread legs, or, just bread man, or, walking man. Well, all these fun little names. But it made me think about pastries in the time period, and specifically holiday pastries. So we've got some slides. We'll be talking about sort of bakers and items like this. Now, the real question is, since these are really popular in Europe, continental Europe specifically, I mean, I don't know that you see a lot of them in Great Britain at the time necessarily. I haven't seen any references to that. Even gingerbread men, not that I've seen. They have gingerbread, but were they sort of shaping it? Most of the references you see in the English cookbooks talk about just making them in little squares or making them in nuts, just little round things. So typically these little shaped cookies and pastries are more sort of European. Now these cultures are definitely happening in North America, and there's certainly there's a lot of influence. We have this whole New Netherlands area, so very, very Dutch influence in New York. And we have bakers in that area. They are probably cooking something like this, but we don't have sort of the exact references. There is a neat piece of record that shows up there. There's been some great research done in 17th century sort of Dutch New York area government, and the records that are still around from that. And there's one little section where the people were complaining to the government. The government regulated the bakers and bread specifically. And the people in the area around, I think it was Fort Orange, were saying, hey, we got a real problem. The bakers are not baking the regular kind of bread that everybody wants. They're spending too much of their time baking and making money from baking white bread and cookies for the Native American population. So they were getting more money from this, hey, these guys are coming in, they want cookies, they want white bread, and so we're gonna sell it to them and not bake the bread for the regular folks in town, because the bread for the regular folks in town, that was regulated by price. They could only charge so much. Whereas these other items, they could charge whatever they want for. They weren't price regulated. And so the bakers are gonna, bake the stuff that's gonna make them the most money instead of the items that they didn't wanna, they weren't making great quantities of sometimes not even making their money back on that bread. So there was a lot of back and forth between the bakers and the government that wanted to regulate them. Really, really interesting research. So that's a little bit about what we're talking here. But we do know that the bakers in 17th century New York were more interested in making cookies for Native Americans than baking bread for regular people in town. Maybe they were making little Weckman guys, I don't know. Did you want to run any questions by me before we go on to the slideshow?
Yeah, well, I mean, I can. I've got a couple. I think that there's one that we should think on for a while. Speed and Style Tony, I believe it was, said that it's too bad that the barkeep isn't in. That man is a gentleman, and we should.
Yeah, spend a lot of time on that one.
We can think about that and make sure that fellow is praised. I think we should do that. Ashley is in Super Chat. The tavern feels so cozy on this cold day. You guys are in the tavern and can't see it snowing. Sorry.
Got the fire going.
To deliver that weather news.
Snowing?
Snowing.
Where?
I think here.
No way.
That's what this says.
Better not be snowing out there, people.
Reckon Phil says, how did Joe Pera come to be on Townsend's videos? Did he contact you? What is the nexus?
Do we tell him the story?
Yeah, I mean,
Or we
sure.
keep it a secret?
I don't know. We can tell him a little bit.
Do you want to tell him the story?
It's pretty, yeah. I mean, Joe got a hold of us, and one day I just had an email pop up, and so we kind of went back and forth for quite a while, and then COVID happened, and he was filming his third season, which just went live, by the way. So if you haven't watched any of that, go check it out. So it took us a little bit of time. We kind of went back and forth for a while, and we finally got him here. And by the time he arrived, he and I had already kind of talked quite a bit about ideas, and then I would relay them to John and Aaron, and we were all pretty on the same page, and so we could just start filming. It was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun.
There were a couple of questions in the chat. Somebody was wondering about special clothing during holiday times. It was that happening if they weren't really decorating?
Not that I know of. Not that I know of.
Well, we try to. We would love to be able to lie to folks and say they were very festive.
Special hats they had for Christmas. No, I'm not gonna. No.
Ashley is in Super Chat again. She says, yes, snowing here, John. Sorry.
Where's here? Where's Ashley?
I think she lives within like 20 miles.
Alaska or something?
No.
Okay. So, two things. Oh, yeah. Two things. I almost lost him. One of them is this. Two things. Last week we had the great tea episode. It was wonderful. Somebody asked a question about blended teas. Someone in the comment section brought up the topic of blended teas. It's like, no, John, they had blended teas and they had some great information I need to follow up on. Here's the truth. I don't know everything, folks. Sometimes I might get it wrong. And I really try my best to only give you information that I've got and not sort of, make it up on the fly, the deal with the Christmas clothing. Somebody, and we're dealing with a lot of different cultures through a long time period here. 18th century is 100 years long, and really I stretch it out to 1820 or so. So this is a very, very big topic, and I can't know everything. So I am here just to give you what I do know and continue to look and dig every day. I'm reading something new and amazed, right? Today I was, deep down in this 17th century Dutch bread thing, and it's like, this is great, but I can only hold so much in here. So, if occasionally you're like, oh, John was just so wrong. Yeah, it happens. It happens. So just bear with me. All right. Number two, all the pastries here today were baked by the super wonderful Lauren, who did all the research and the pictures today and did all the baking. So super thank you to Lauren, who spent just way too much time baking these little guys. And unfortunately, she's got she's sensitive to eggs and she can't eat any of this. So, I mean, how painful is that to have to bake all these guys and not be able to eat them? So I'll eat this for you, Lauren.
Have you tried did you get one of the almond braided guys? Oh my goodness. That's good. Thank you, Lauren.
This is good. So the little Weckman, he's their yeasted bread guys, super good. Let me finish his arm up. So we're used to gingerbread men, right? This is so totally new to me, and wow, that's really, really yummy. So there's yeasted bread men. These are the Taffety Tarts. Remember we did these guys. That was a response to the one letter that we got from the viewer in the UK. So we made the Taffety Tarts. She made some Taffety Tarts for us, and they're just way too good. And then these guys are jumbles. So they show up in 18th century, 17th century, 18th century. And they are, I've made them before. Sometimes they kind of turn out like a cookie. What's it? Sweeter. Oh, and almond way up there. Yeah, lots of almond paste in there. Wow. This is going to kill my diet. But, you know, I'm doing this for you guys.
Yeah.
I'm here for you. Throwing myself on the grenade of all these pastries.
That's very kind of you.
Oh.
I know it's troubling.
I could eat these all day long.
So there are some more super chats that we should go over real quick. Mike says snowing here in Central Illinois.
No,
off and on.
No,
Brr.
it is not.
Devorah, have you made any Springlier or speculoos cookies yet? I have been making them for many years with antique wooden molds. These are from Northern Europe.
Yes, right. Very familiar with those guys. And there are some other ones. There's a paticon, I think, is another word for this little molded, sometimes a ceramic little mold, and then the Springerly, I think, is the word for that kind of cookie. Maybe I'm gonna mess all these words up. If you make me pronounce any of these, I will pronounce them completely wrong. Like all those, like the name of the towns in England, contest we had. It's like, how can he mess it up even worse? Well, I can do it.
You can't.
Anyway,
you can't do it worse than
yes,
me. I know that.
Those little cookies with the spring word in there. Yes, those. No, we have not done anything quite like that. And again, what are the issues here with doing the 18th century German things is that I don't have any great translated works on that, and my 18th century German is just really bad. This is really okay. It's non-existent, and so it's unless somebody's already done some of that research for me, it's really hard for me to interpret those. And maybe we need some more partners in European cookery that can work with us and translate some of those, and we can work.
It's really fun when it happens. When
yes,
we get that
yes, it is.
Yeah.
So.
Enzo Vinci is in Super Chat. Hey, had a quick question that's somewhat related. I know the Genesee River region was known for their wheat and products. Would something like Genesee flour be used for cookies like these, or maybe not?
I'd say yeah, of course. Now, I think that Genesee area and the wheat thing is really, that's Western kind of New York. And I believe that's a bit more 19th century when that area comes into major wheat production. Because the problem is it's hard to ship, wheat from areas that are more inland until they get the canals in and other kind of roads. So 18th century, all that agriculture is happening fairly close to the edge of the coast so that it's much easier to transport. But later on, as the 19th century goes on and transport moves into that interior, then boy, that agriculture can really take off because you need a lot of transportation to be able to move those big agricultural goods. So that's why corn out of the backcountry was all turned into whiskey, because you could transport that easily when you didn't have those transportation methods.
This is from David Dinelli. When you talk about cookies, are they like sugar cookies or crackers or what? What modern food is most like it?
Well, that whole concept of cookie, and if you look at Amelia Simmons in 1797, she starts to use that word cookie, and that is very, very Dutch, German, orientation there. That's not, that term cookie is not used in English cookery in the 18th century at all. And they would, if they were making that in English cookery, they would just call them like a sweet biscuit. So they had a sort of a different name for it of something very similar. And these are, especially these jumbles, they are like a sugar cookie. This one's got, almond paste in it to give you a different kind of sweetness. A lot of these other ones are a bit more like a fancy, roll or, or whatnot. So they're a sweet bread, yeasted bread, but highly enriched. So eggs and cream in it instead of bread like, just flour, yeast, water, salt.
Iowa Farm Boy is in Super Chat, and I think that this is a suggestion maybe for Lauren. Many people who can't eat regular eggs can eat duck eggs. Protein structure is different, and they are growing in popularity.
I don't know if she tried some of those, and I think the sensitivity is just to the whites and not the yolks. But who wants to test if it makes your guts go all,
And then we've got another super chat. I am the average gamer. I want to thank you for all the videos. These videos warm my soul as a history buff who lived next to Fort Niagara for most of my life. Keep it up.
All right there in that Western New York area, huh?
And we have a ton of praise for the baker, Lauren, in the chat section. Thank you guys so much. We'll make sure that she knows how much.
She's probably watching even now.
There we go.
She says thank you. I'll bet you. I know I say thank you because I get to eat them. Are we ready to do slides? What do you think?
Well,
are you too busy reading?
Yeah, we're ready. I've never seen this question before. That asked if Townsends can create beard oil and beard products, which doesn't really work for us because not many people were sporting beards in the time. But it is interesting.
I think Ryan likes to make his own sort of. Well, he doesn't need beard stuff because he couldn't grow one if he wanted to. But
no, but yeah.
But he does hair grease and stuff like that.
I do. Robert Green is in Super Chat. Did you see my dressed mushrooms, Bradley Wallace?
I think so. Was that maybe it was an email that came in? I don't know if I can answer that one.
Okay, I think it's time to try to get into this slideshow.
Okay.
We've been doing a lot of talking.
Yeah.
Real quick, I'm going to throw in here that there are almost 900 people watching and there are 480 likes. So let's get that ratio. Let's get to that.
Definitely a problem. So it's just like you pressed a button. I mean,
right?
How tough can it be?
Right.
Let's do the slideshow. So here's a picture that the little Weckman guys here a little closer up. Now remember, these are coming from all over Europe. They have all kinds of different names, all kinds of different designs. Now you're going to say, dude, why, John, why does this guy have a pipe? What is going on with this? Well, the St. Martin's Day has to do with a particular saint's day. And early on, probably, 13th, 14th, 15th century, this was a very, very religious holiday that had sort of, Roman Catholic overtones, right? So this was supposed to be a particular saint, and this was a staff. His little pipe was actually a staff. It was flipped upside down so that it would have sort of like a big candy cane he would be holding up in his hand, and it would arch around, up, right? And then when the Reformation came, 16th century, all of a sudden, some people wanted to keep some of these little, sort of cultural artifacts, but remove some of the religious connotations. So the little crook disappeared, and they flipped it upside down, and it turned into a pipe. So, and sometimes these pipes weren't actually pipes. They may have been just piping, just like icing, right? But I really love the idea of the pipe here, and all of a sudden, he's very. By the time he gets later on in 17th and 18th century, he turns into a totally different character. I don't know who he's supposed to be. Some holiday man with a pipe. But pipe smoking was extremely popular with the Dutch in this time period. So the idea that he would have a pipe is very, very typical.
Well, I think that I don't know if it's just me. If there are any other pipe smokers in the chat, you can ring in on this. But during the summer months, my pipe smoking decreases because it's hard to hold a pipe and do all the things that you need to do. Sometimes it can be inconvenient. But when it cools down and you can settle in with a book or something like that, pipe smoking goes up in November. It just does, and it carries on through the winter. So,
So the fact that November 11th would be a pipe smoking holiday with a little bread man just makes total sense.
I like it.
So here is a wonderful picture of bakers here in the, I would guess that it's late 17th century by sort of what they're wearing. Bakers, there's some great, I mean, if bakers did what they, did in the 18th century, okay, no, wait. If bakers today did what they did in the 18th century, I don't know if you'd be eating as much bread, but, so they quite often, bread bakers wouldn't be wearing the same kind of clothing or barely any clothing at all because they're working in a very hot oven area, and they were, many times you'd see them working without shirts, with just sort of, I don't know what you would almost call them, like little kilts, and that's all they're wearing. The giant loaves of bread that they would bake for household use were like 8 pounds. Can you imagine a giant 8-pound loaf made with rye, and the loaves and the dough was so difficult and stiff to knead that they would knead with their feet. So, and there were some regulations where you could not use soap. You were not supposed to use soap to wash your feet before you kneaded the bread. Just hot water, and then you dry them off with flour. And then they'd stomp on this, dough until it was all mixed up properly.
Sounds wonderful.
Yeah, doesn't it? But here we see a much fancier. It looks like he's got manchet loaves here. Those little sort of flat bread that's split in 4, and so there were many, many different kinds of breads. And we can almost see something like a little twisted croissant or something that's underneath the cloth. Obviously, we want to keep it covered so they don't get, all dry and hard on the outside before you bake them. And the boy down here with the straw, it's likely that the fires in areas where there weren't a lot of wood, like North America, you get plenty of wood to heat up the ovens. But in other places in Europe where wood is hard to come by, they would burn reeds and grass, different sorts of things to get their ovens up to temperature. So along the sides of this slide, those are all the different crazy names for all these little dough men, cookie men. You can see there's just like a million names for them. And you can see the third one down there, Claus. So that's where Santa Claus comes from. So Saint Claus, or the Claus man, sort of like Santa Claus man. Let's see, what is, I think Weckman just means yeast man, and so I don't have all the interpretations for all these great names, but it's just fascinating to see what's going on. And this also points to how differentiated the world was in the 18th century. Very, very localized. So all these different regions had something similar, but totally different names for them and almost different traditions for them. And this is being carried over into North America. Very, very regional, very small pockets with different kinds of culture.
So there's speculation here, but somebody in the comments asked, is this where the idea for Pillsbury Doughboy comes from?
That's a really interesting idea. I would bet you that it could very well be. Somebody could probably dig on that one. That would be funny, wouldn't it? Here's another pastry shop. This is early. It looks like 16th century, or at least depicting 16th century. And we've got probably almost a royal bakery here. At least it's very high end regardless. We've got a whole kitchen here with, meats and animals waiting to be used later on. But we also had these beautiful pastries here in the foreground being cooked. And you can see the oven this guy has a giant mouth on it. So the oven that we've done, sort of a, French colonial, small households kind of oven, it doesn't have a door any bigger than 12 inches. But if you're going to bake a giant loaf of bread, and bakers were much more likely to be full community bakers, not household sort of, people, even in the 16th and 17th century, they weren't baking their own bread most times. And if you're anywhere close to a town, there's a baker doing it. And they've got to have an oven with a very, very large door. Now, the door on this seems awfully high to me. I don't know how you keep the heat in this thing, but and if you're doing pastries, they can't get too hot. You need kind of low fire. So I'm intrigued by this image and what's going on with the ovens. We have a lot of still lifes in the 18th century, and this one's got different sorts of bread in it. I mean, we've got, fruits, obviously, and a parrot. And we've got little comfits up here, those little white things in about the center. Those are little candies. And we've got some, looks like slices of bread. They could be cheese sometimes. There's slices of bread down there. And then we have this little tray of fancy breads, the little ring bread that we can see there on the right. As well as other fancy bread objects here. And then there's just dead center, just standard loaf of bread. Very, very famous picture, mid-late 17th century, and a Dutch baker. We even know his name and his wife's name and the son's name because it's written sort of on the back of it. But we can see all the different fancy breadwares that they have available that the baker's, famous for. We got pretzel or pretzel-like. I don't know that they're like our pretzels, but they're pretzel-shaped. We've got this fancy bread behind his back on that little, sort of looks like a picket fence there. But those are little, sort of like buns, but they all lock together because you bake them together and they sort of grow into each other. You can see the very fancy, very holiday bread there that's sticking up, this sort of diamond shaped, very, very specific, high-end white bread made for a specific time of year. We've got some little, manchety kind of breads, and that special sort of bread that hollows itself out. She's holding up one of them. I think it's so you can, sort of put things into it. And then almost, a standard household bread on the peel he's got. And that peel sometimes, especially the Dutch, would call that a shooter. So you would shoot those loaves of bread into the oven. If you've ever used a peel to get bread loaves into the oven, you kind of have to do a certain kind of a push and then pull back to make the bread jump off the peel and land in the oven just right.
I love this painting. We've used it so much. Like, it seems like it comes up in so many studies, but it's beautiful.
Yeah. Another someone carrying, and this is again 17th century. You can tell by his clothing here, but he's got all these special, fancy kinds of breads that are, again, these are even in lots of places in Europe. Okay, whether it's Great Britain or France or German states and the Dutch, they were all controlling the price of household bread. So how is the baker, if the cost of wheat goes way up, or we've got inflation problems. We had inflation problems in the Dutch time in the mid 1600s. How are they going to recoup some of those costs? Well, they're going to try to sell more of the items that aren't price protected. So the ones, household bread, nope, you have to sell that for a certain price. But some of these other things, you can, because they're fancy, you can sell them for whatever you want. So another fancy, diamond-shaped piece of, fancy bread there. A couple little manchet loaves, a regular loaf of bread. Notice that he's got like a ship's biscuit, just a single ship's biscuit, it looks like, back there. Popular in the time period. That was, twice baked and used for sort of long voyages or storage of bread. I cannot tell you about the big square loaf over there, except that they had lots of different kinds of breads at different time periods. And how do you know when the new bread is available? The baker sticks his head out his window and blows the horn. Fresh bread available now. You don't want to go down the street to, buy, Joe's bread down the street that's stale, that was baked 2 days ago. This stuff right out of the oven. So they blow their horn so everyone knows that the new bread is out of the oven, ready to buy.
I like the little pretzel hanger.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know if you talked about it. I wasn't paying attention.
Well, he had pretzels hanging in that earlier painting. I didn't probably talk about the hanger itself, but yeah, you want to have those up and out of the way, and it's fun. I think they should sell pretzels out of hangers, and you can see some of his oven in the background. You can see the door on that one, not nearly so high, but quite likely a fairly wide door, so that you can get those bigger household breads in there.
So is this likely like a service window where people would just pop up and buy bread right there?
Yeah, yes.
That's interesting.
We have, back to the window, some kind of, it looks like cooking going on in a bigger sense. But here we have, it looks like little fancy cakes, or maybe even like little gingerbread things on a brazier here, so that they could be served warm. Let me see if I've got something specific on this one. Boy, I wish I could pronounce those guys. So in the background, apparently, is a painting of a blacksmith. So but this is about elements of fire. And the lady's baking porphyries? I don't know. Sorry, guys. Couldn't answer more than that about this one. But apparently little things you can bake sort of on a brazier. And here we have some of those same sort of little, I'll bet they're like the jumbles, little round, let's call them cookies for a shorter, but they might be a little bit more bread-like. Or maybe they're, super simplified pretzels. They're just round, instead of, it could be donuts, but I don't think so. I think they're more bready in this sort of circumstance. These are very interesting in that they're, especially this one on the left that's more sketchy, right? We just have a sort of a sketch in here, but we have a sketch of a pastry shop. It's early 19th century or very, very late 18th century. And we can tell by the clothing in that, but we can see the fancy pastries, and he's got this, the shelf that goes around the column, which is a really interesting design. And it looks like somebody's eating bread right out of the, some kid there is like, oh, nobody's looking. I'm going to eat one of these breads in the shop. We have children in there, but we do see a fancy sort of pastry shop. More than just, it's not just straight up, baker, but that fancy baker. And basically we flip over on the other side here. We get much later in that image. This one's in this 1820 realm. The clothing definitely keeps moving along here, and it looks like sort of the dessert service here. Little tarts for a dessert service. And we can see all those, it looks just like those little Taffety Tarts all over in the window there. And I'm sure if you had those, you'd be doing a brisk business because they're super yummy.
Some folks were wondering if maybe some of the fancy loaves in the earlier pictures were made for church.
Well, they're definitely connected with church holidays. So that's, yeah. There we go. I think that's it. Look at that. Woo! Whew. Before we go any further, let me get to the brand new Patreon people. I wasn't able to get to them last week, so I've got 2 weeks worth, but it's not too bad. So brand new people on Patreon: Leon Mastenbrock, Luke Cutler, Stephanie Grable, Mike Clifton, Meet the Lost, and then Crew Chief 1989, Robert Kaler, Paul Gill, Ed Patricia, I think it's my handwriting isn't always the best. Also, Christopher Ford there in PayPal. Thank you, Christopher Ford. And brand new people on Townsends Plus, Donald M., TJ M., Glenn M., Rochelle S., Joshua David J., Rachel S., Gail S., Robbie D., Aaron C., and Gabriel E. We got lots of folks there. If you're interested in helping out what we do sort of in a super direct way, there's Patreon. Again, PayPal, you'll find a link down in the description section, and Townsends Plus, if you want to get something out of it and sort of, you know, the special content we do over there on Townsends Plus, definitely want to check that out. And obviously, you know, there's things like Super Chat and, well, actually, I want to mention a special thank you to all the folks that are members on YouTube. That does make a difference to what we do. And of course, there's always the wonderful items that are over on our website. So all those links are down in the description section. Super thank you to all you folks out there.
Yeah. Some people in the chat are talking about Townsends Plus content. Thank you. I'm glad that you're liking that. And also some really kind comments about the live streams that we do, which that's really fun. And there are a lot of people that work on the live streams that you guys don't know their names and you don't get to see, and they do a great job. So thank you so much for praising them. We've got now I will say that some internal refresh has happened, and I don't have, I can't see very far back in the chat for some reason, but there was the super chat right here by Maxter Cool. I'm digging this bread action, and I'm happy that you are. If I missed a super chat, you guys can point it out to me. I don't think that I did, but it's very likely that that happened. So a couple of comments in the chat section as we've gone. Oh, yeah. This was interesting. So were these bread men alive at night?
I hope not, because this guy's going to need a crutch. It reminds me of no, not the gumdrop buttons. Anyway.
Was there any kind of story that you told your kids or anything about these fellers?
We didn't do that sort of thing.
Somebody just commented that it's snowing in Chicago.
No! Stop it!
Was there a most popular dessert?
I don't know. As I said, there's so many different cultures, and they each are going to have their sort of, popular thing. I know what I enjoy. I don't know. All these are really good. So, no, I couldn't even pick out the best one for me, much less in the 18th century.
John Talley is asking, were there grocery store type places back then? Did they have places to buy fresh meat like they did with fresh bread?
So they did. I mean, obviously, we're spoiled with the giant supermarket that has everything you ever wanted, canned things and fresh meat and and of course they didn't have anything quite like that. But they certainly had stores that would, have a selection that was greater than just, oh, I'm a baker or I'm a butcher. But it's likely that there was no point in some of those. It's like dry goods stores, right? If there's a baker that specializes in doing amazing pastries, then there's no reason for you to carry, those kinds of things in your store. So that's going to be divided up, and the community divides those things up. Well, there's 3 bakers and there's a butcher over there, and so getting it all into one spot, not generally. Although you do have dry goods that are going to have, grains and, hardware and some things like that. But it won't have some of those specialty things like a baker and the butcher thing.
Do we have a new Christmas cookbook?
Mm-mm.
Okay, there are a couple of comments about that. I don't know if we've confused folks somewhere.
Maybe.
I was going to say, I don't know about it, but I don't know about everything.
Yeah, you do.
Susan is in Super Chat. Townsends Plus has been the best thing I signed up for. So many interesting videos and behind-the-scenes info.
Thank you so much.
We did not pay Susan to say that.
New ideas all the time.
Most of the chat right now is about where it's snowing and where it's not.
No. That's just cruel.
So, everybody, we are at 893 likes. And, man, 894, excuse me. Let's get to 1,000. Let's do it. It'll be really great for this video. Thank you so much for your help.
I was surprised how popular the tea one was last week, as in, replays. There's some video, some live streams that people are, I don't know if I want to watch that one. And the tea service has been very popular. Yeah,
what do you guys like? What kind of live streams do you like? What
Where
makes
John gets to eat lots of cookies? Do you like that?
John is hoping that is what you like. No, we do a lot of picture studies. Some do better than the others. All of them seem to be interesting to folks when it's live, but not necessarily afterwards. So what do you guys like? Let us know. Enzo Vinci in Super Chat. It is snowing in Indiana. WNY will probably snow.
Western New York?
Western New York? Yeah, probably. Oh, yeah, because, Enzo was the one talking about Genesee. There we go.
There we go.
Dustin Williams, are we going to get a 2021 blooper video? John would have to mess up more.
I don't know. Yesterday's video. Woo!
Should we talk about that a little bit?
Which one? Or just all of yesterday?
Well,
it was like a disaster, a train wreck. It was a.
Let's see. Let's talk about
carriage wreck. Sorry.
Carriage wreck.
Shipwreck.
We had a recipe that didn't work.
It did not work. I don't know what to say. It didn't work. Sometimes you're thinking, this is going to be great. We'll do this for the first time. And then, boom. It didn't work, guys. It just did not work.
John Talley is wondering if there's any update on the book club. And yes, there is. Do you want to talk about it or you want me to?
No, you got the update. Okay. I'm going, hey, what about that update, Ryan?
So the first book that we're going to read through in the book club is here. It is in stock and ready to go. I was doing some finalizing on some logos and different things like that because there's a special little notebook that I want to put along with that so everybody can follow along, take their notes. And that one is almost here. And once that is here, we will be ready to go.
We'll make it happen.
We just crossed over 1,000 likes. You guys are wonderful. Thank you.
Yes. Just for that, I'll light my pipe. There's nothing in it.
But you can you can smoke it. I love when John fake smokes pipes. It's my favorite.
I like Popeye.
Norman is in Super Chat. Will there be a video making those guys?
These guys?
Yeah.
The reason why we're doing it in a live stream and not in a cooking episode is because I haven't locked them down into the 18th century enough. So it's like I know they happened, but I don't have the real specific. There's like 3 or 4 I'm very interested in German cookery books of the late 17th century or mid 18th century, and I just don't have translations for them. And so So I've either got to partner up with some people, or I've got to really study up on my German or Dutch.
Well, Rose says, what about a show on the giving of German giant New Year's Day pretzels?
It's a new one on me.
Well, Rose,
here's your pretzel. It sounds like fun.
Tell us about it, Rose. You know how to contact us. That's interesting. Susan, it's a super chat. 1,000 likes. Townsend 1,000 strikes again. Man, I feel it's a good day.
Yeah. Except for the snow.
Another super chat.
Which is not snowing here, so it's okay.
Another super chat says, John reading to us and giving interviews are great.
Thank you.
Okay.
I haven't done any reading in a live stream lately. Maybe I need to, and I want to have a special, we're working on some special live stream ideas So we'll see. We'll see if a couple of those kinds of things come in. Maybe some. I don't know. I'm gonna work these guys ragged with crazy new YouTube ideas. I'm just like going crazy right now with really, really interesting ideas that I just wear them out doing neat stuff.
We had a meeting the other day just discussing.
I thought of more.
Yeah?
I'm just like,
let's go. That's fun.
Yeah.
Okay, so this
probably
is
too
it.
much sugar.
Spinning the past says it's the Colonial Christmas Cooking Book. We've carried that for quite some time, but you saw it on Facebook recently because it's the holidays. Tim, in Super Chat, you can talk about literally anything. All I care about is your faces, voices, in this comfy atmosphere. Happy holidays.
Thank you. I don't make faces. At least I don't know that I'm making faces.
Oh,
so.
man.
I don't know what to say.
You look great, John. You really do. Super chat. Phil says, since it's snowing, did bakers bake different kinds of bread in the fall or the winter?
I don't know how many times I need to tell you people. It is not snowing outside. There's definitely seasonality, especially for things like some of these special breads, because they are, holiday related. Some of them have to do with, what items are available, what materials are available, or even whether they can, bake things with yeast in it because they can't get the yeast. There's so many fun topics here. You're making me think of some fun ideas already. So yeah, there's some seasonality to that, definitely. How's that for a short answer?
There's some definitely.
Definitely.
I like that. You know what? I'd say bring on the snow. I think it could be fun.
How do we get rid of the leaves when there's a whole bunch of snow on top of them?
That's true. I don't think it'll stick around.
We
yet.
have leaves still on the trees. We can't have snow and leaves on the trees at the same time.
Somebody said any live period appropriate holiday music. We might be able to wrangle something up for that. That could be fun.
Aaron bring his drum set in. Yeah. You can bring in your electric guitar.
That's right.
We'll do it.
The electric bring on all the reverb and distortion pedals. It'll be great. Yeah, we'll work something up for you.
We could pipe Rick and Hillary in.
Yeah. Okay.
I can play Christmas tunes on the Tramba Marina.
Please don't make me sit for an hour. Okay. I think that we're getting loose here.
Okay.
And it's time to say farewell to our friends.
Time to say farewell. It's been a wonderful Friday afternoon in the Nutmeg Tavern. It's great to come in, relax, start up the fire, get this place all warmed up. These guys are always complaining because it's too hot, and I'm thinking, it's not too hot. It's just right in here. We light up all the candles and have fun, and we know lots of folks are going to flood into the Nutmeg Tavern, and we always have a good time. It's boisterous, and, we never know what's going to happen in a live stream. So true. You guys help make that happen. Just, all the wonderful sort of morale boosting that we get in the comments and in the chat. So thank you so much for that. Thank you, all you folks, Patreon, PayPal, Townsends Plus, Super Townsends Plus. Thank you so much. And Super Chat. Thank you. I hope you folks have a wonderful, not snowy Friday evening. It's not going to snow this weekend. Don't worry about that. I promise you it's not going to snow. It's going to be nice. It's going to have a great weekend. Have a great weekend. And thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Ryan. And thank you, Lauren, for all these wonderful cookies. I've already eaten 10 times more than I should have.
I know that was a wonderful sign off, but we just had a ton of stuff pop up.
Okay, go ahead.
So I'm sorry. But one person in Super Chat says, where can I wait, I think I missed one. No, I didn't. Where can I find the guitar music from the cabin build episode?
We're working on something like that, right?
On the cabin build episode. That's where you can find it right now. Yes, we're working on that.
Right.
I have to go out to the cabin and record a bunch of music. And so we will do that soon. That we've been talking about it, and we're going to do it, dang it.
We'll have a special set of music that is from, and it's actually recorded in the cabin.
Yeah, homestead tunes. We'll have them, I promise. That fellow there is in Super Chat. What's your favorite non-18th century hat?
I've got this really cool Joe Pera baseball cap.
Oh, yeah. It is a nice hat. Michael's in Super Chat. A little snow. How about some warm spiked cider and a tasty piece of pie? We'll see what we can do next week.
And we'll see what we can do.
All right. One more sign off. No more Super Chats. Don't make me read them. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, folks. Everybody, have a great weekend. Just do it. Just have a great weekend. And thank you so much for joining me today. See you later.